Attorney Vikas Bajaj. Nick, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Okay, what's this all about and what exactly is being proposed here?
Very simply, it's just sort of truth in advertising. It's making sure that consumers, when they open up the magazine and they see certain advertisements for beauty products or fitness products, they actually know what the efficacy of that actual commodity is. And so Congress is stepping in right now to make sure that there is truthful advertising, something very similar to what we saw in the late 70s and 80s and sometimes bleeding into the 90s when the FDA attacked the ingredients lists of certain products that were put out for consumers to actually eat and digest. That's when we saw a lot of ingredients that we didn't think were in our cereal actually being exposed and the ingredient list actually being changed. So it's the same sort of logic here. We want to make sure that the consumers are protected. When they're buying, for instance, a weight loss pill, they understand that they may not look like that person that has 0.1% body fat that's on the cover of the magazine.
Okay, talking about specifically who this is targeting, in terms of advertising, would it be for things like supplements or food or things that we ingest? Because quite frankly, a lot of advertisement is creation, it's creativity, it's special effects. So where do they draw the line as to what has to be the truth in advertising versus what they're trying to control here with the photoshopping?
That's the million or the billion-dollar question,
right,
quite frankly. And that's something we're going to see create as it moves on. You know, you might end up seeing a situation here where photoshopping and manipulating the actual images or the videos that are put out there and proliferated to the public is not going to be controlled at all. But you may actually see Congress say, well, if we are going to manipulate any of the images, then we're going to make sure that we have a warning to the customers or the consumers saying, FYI, this has been photoshopped or manipulated some way. Some people believe this is overreaching of the federal government. People like myself believe the federal government gets too involved in our daily routine. However, here we have a real public concern, and that is, you know, young children, women particularly, who are bulimic, who are anorexic, who are really chasing the dragon, so to speak, in order to look like these people that they see in their magazines that in fact don't actually look like that in reality. That costs the country quite a bit of money because the treatment and the damage that's caused to the psyches of these individuals and the physical treatment that's needed to help them medically.
Based on what I've read, it really doesn't seem to me like this is something that's going to pass on a grand scale, other than perhaps, like you said, objects in mirrors are closer than they appear type of warning label, right?
I think that's accurate. The bill does have bipartisan support. It is in its infancy, so really don't know what's going to pass after all the modifications and adaptations are made to the statutory language. But I tend to agree with you. I think you actually hit the nail on the head. You know, I like, when I open a magazine of vehicles, I like to see a vehicle that's on, you know, going 180 miles an hour and it looks pristine and it just doesn't look exactly how it would in reality. Simple example, you know, all cars on the advertisements have tinted windows and they don't have the front license plate.
Exactly.
Well, we know that's illegal, but frankly, I like looking at that. Not like seeing those fast and sexy cars. I have the common sense, as many of our constituents do, to be able to understand that's not reality. But I think you might be right that that warning may be the strength and the length of the federal arm's reach in this kind of a situation.
What kind of precedent legally would this set if something like this were to pass?
It would be something that is far, far-reaching.
Yeah.
In other words, when you have advertisements for the San Diego Padres and the video clips that are taken aren't exactly what you would see if you go out to the ballpark, is that something that would be regulated on a local level or a national level? I don't know. The real harm here, or the potential for fear that some of us feel, is the federal government's arm is potentially overreaching into areas it really has no business regulating. That's why, again, here I think there is a strong justification, because the health consequences for the individuals who are sort of, as I say, chasing that dragon to achieve perfection as they see in the movies, commercials, and magazines.
We'll see what happens. Vikas Bajaj, we thank you for your time.
Absolutely, my pleasure.